What's going on, everyone? Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Will Ortner. And on today's program, we're going to be talking about the latest rankings from ESPN because they dropped their final rankings of the year yesterday, talking about the safeties in the National Football League. And as you can see, Derwin James, he ended up making a big jump in this rankings as Jeremy Fowler kind of goes through some of the quick hitters, the notes that you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to. So the question for me became, how high did Derwin James go? And then what were those around the league saying about him? Because when you look at this list, the beauty of it is ESPN doesn't just rank the players. They also go in and they give you some reasons behind each ranking. So did Derwin James, one, end up in that top spot, but two, why did he end up where he was going to be at? When you look at the top safeties, Derwin James, he didn't quite get that top spot, although he did have a person vote for him to be in that position, but he certainly got very high up on the rankings, and he actually put himself into a conversation with Kyle Hamilton. And I think what's fascinating as you look at this top safety list for ESPN is that you have three guys in Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, and Nick Eamon. And honestly, you can probably throw Brian Branch into this as well, since he does play a little bit of nickel for the Lions. But there is a new safety that is stepping into the NFL. And the way that this defense runs in Los Angeles, I always equate it back to Mike Macdonald because he's the one who's kind of the originator of it. You have Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, and Nick Eamon. Hamilton and Eamon obviously being coached by Mike Macdonald at different points in their career. Eamon now, Hamilton in the past. And Derwin James being coached by Jesse Minter, a Mike Macdonald disciple, shows you that there is a new in vogue position or a new in vogue way of using a safety. And that, of course, is as your big nickel coming in and being able to add in as an extra defender, aka a fifth defensive back, but at the same time, being big enough and strong enough to play as a pseudo third linebacker in the NFL. It's a move that you're starting to see go all over the NFL. And frankly, Derwin James is one of the players that was able to help originate that. So come on in, show Derwin James some love. Let him know that he's your favorite safety in the National Football League by hitting the thumbs up button on today's video. Make sure that he knows he is appreciated. Make sure that he knows that the entire Chargers fan base has his back. Hit the thumbs up button. All right, so here's what Jeremy Fowler had to say on Derwin James. And frankly, I think it's a very interesting couple of quotes here. James was a clear number 2 in the voting, making an impressive 4-spot jump from the previous year. That the Chargers gave James a 3-year, $75.6 million extension weeks before voting started could have helped his cause. Money equals respect, validating the body of work. I think that the body of work speaks for itself. But the deal was a culmination of James's strong 2 years under head coach Jim Harbaugh. Since 2024, James has combined 7.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, 16 tackles for loss, and 14 pass deflections. When you look at Derwin James's last 4 seasons, it's easy to see why he is viewed so highly and why he is so highly moving up these rankings, specifically last year. Derwin James had his best year in coverage, getting 7 pass breakups, but more importantly, getting 3 interceptions, while still being someone that is a high-volume tackle guy, being just under 100 tackles on the season. There is no one that can really do what Derwin James does, aside for 2 other people in the National Football League, and Derwin James earned the amount of money that he got. We're going to spend the rest of today's video going through all the ins and outs of James and why he ranks where he does and why I see him probably being the most important and influential player on this Chargers defense. But before we do any of that, I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's the best place to win cash while watching sports. Let's look at my lineup for the football action this year. I have the more on Justin Herbert pass yards. I believe the offense will be much improved in LA, and that should hopefully lead to more passing yards for Herbert. That's why I have the more on his passing yards. I have the more on Quentin Johnston receiving TDs. I believe that Johnson will have more opportunities to catch the football with a hopefully improved offense in Los Angeles. That's why I have the more on his receiving TDs. I also have the more on Rashid Shaheed receiving yards. A full offseason in Seattle should help Shaheed build better chemistry with Darnold. That's why I have the more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with PrizePicks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description. Derwin James completes what this defense is and what it wants to be, because what teams are doing offensively now is looking for different matchups that they can exploit. Football has turned from a plays over players to a matchups type of a battle now. You're always looking for that extra edge. And what Derwin James does, and his unique ability to be able to get back in coverage on a receiver while still being able to take on an offensive lineman in the run game, allows the Chargers to stay in their base defense and allows the Chargers to disguise what they are going to do and what they want to do. That is the new age of where the NFL is moving. And this type of safety, I don't want to say prototypical safety because it's not there, but the prototype for a Derwin James, Kyle Hamilton, Nicky Manwari style safety allows their defenses to run exactly what they want to and dictate what they want to do to the offense. It's also important to mention that Derwin James, his health has been a major factor. The fact that he's been able to stay out on the field has really helped this Chargers team grow. Don't just take my word for it. Here's what Jeremy Fowler had to say on Derwin James's durability. After missing most of the 29 and 2020 seasons due to injury, James has been durable the last 5 years. During that stretch, James is the only player in the NFL to log at least 1,000 snaps at each safety, slot corner, and outside linebacker. That position versatility has allowed the Chargers' defensive back room to look like this. It has allowed the Chargers to be able to be in a position where they can move, they can rotate, they can have their players in the correct alignment, ready to go. Now, this is what the depth chart, I believe, is going to look like after training camp, but you can clearly tell that Derwin James allows this group to do what they want because he acts as a fifth DB while at the same time acting as a third linebacker. And that is a huge deal for this team. In your opinion, do you think Derwin James is the best safety in the National Football League? Go down below in our comment section and say yes or no. Is it a yes? He is the best. Is it a no? He's not quite there yet. Let us know what you think. To me, I'm just spamming my yeses. I really do think that he is the best, and it's this simple. Derwin James was on a good defense last year. Kyle Hamilton was not. The Baltimore Ravens were not a good defense, and so to me, you got to put the best player on the best defense in that position at number one. And even though the Chargers might not have been the best defense between those two, Derwin James's defense was better than Kyle Hamilton's. And unfortunately for Nicky Manwari, or fortunately, he's not as good in zone coverage as Derwin James is. He's not the full complete package quite yet. When you look at why Derwin James deserves all this love, he's great in coverage. He can run with a player in man, and he's got great football IQ and vision to allow himself to succeed in zone. We know that Jesse Minter loved to run a lot of zone. With Derwin James and that defense last year, he took full advantage of that. He's a great tackler. I can't remember the last time that I saw Derwin James miss a tackle. If he's got his arms around you, you're going down, and he's wrapping through the legs. He's an elite blitzer for his safety. Now, he's not going to compare to some of the linebackers, but he's still big and strong enough to get around the edge. He's quick. He knows how to bend, dip, and rip. He's always getting better at that pass rush. And that actually is a sneaky big ability because it keeps offensive lines honest and forcing them to account for him. He's got great versatility, man. He's able to move into a bunch of different positions. If you need him at that deep safety, he can do it. If you need him in that slot corner, he can do it. You need him on the outside as a linebacker, he can do it. I think you could line him up as an edge rusher, and he'd excel. And Derwin James, lastly, is a great leader, man. You only hear positive things coming out from that defense there in Los Angeles when they talk about him. He's an elite player. And so when I look at Derwin James, I'm just glad at this point he's getting the praise, the love, and attention that he probably deserved earlier in his career, and he just didn't get it for whatever reason. When you look at Derwin James, the kid is an elite ball player. Probably shouldn't say kid because he's definitely older than me. But Derwin James is a really good player, and I'm glad that he's getting his just desserts. Give us a thumbs up if you loved today's video and you love that Derwin James got a little bit of hype. We're really closing in on that training camp getting started, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Don't miss any of the content that we have coming for you. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Can't wait to see you next time. Bolt up.